Adam Mendel. I'm a principal machine learning engineer at Shipt. Primarily right now work on our machine learning platform.
Awesome.
I'm Anuradha Muduage, and I'm Director of Machine Learning Engineering and leading the machine learning platform team at Shipt.
Awesome. So, one of the things I definitely want to dig in and hear more about your platform, but maybe on a high level, what are some of kind of the areas that your internal customers and Shipt in general, what are some of the problems you're solving with machine learning?
There are two sides of this problem. One is training the models, and data scientists come from multidisciplinary areas. So as a result of that, we want them to have the most easiest path that they can do their best work on focusing on modeling work, and we take care of the rest of the stuff, all the way from firing up resources. And then when it comes to the model is ready, serving that model at a runtime and within a certain SLAs. So that's kind of the two areas of the challenges that we are currently solving. So
kind of again in the realm of like the more of the development side, definitely want to hear more about the serving. We'll get to there in a second. So you're using Airflow to orchestrate these jobs. How do you manage, you mentioned Snowflake for the feature store, offline feature store. How do you manage kind of all the artifacts, the output, the trained model binaries, and really experimentation, metrics, hyperparameters? How do you guys handle all of that?
Yeah, so that's Comet.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody is training a model, whether it's in Airflow, so it's more formalized, or it's in Jupyter Hub or on a local machine, we just use Comet's Python SDK and log everything to that particular team and project's workspace in Comet. So it's pretty non-invasive, it's just kind of like a passive thing. It all just gets logged into Comet. And then when it's like, hey, you have that one model that this one is more ready than others, promote model from the experiment into the registry. And that all happens within Comet.
So within the Comet UI, the data scientists, after they're kind of finished with their first stage of research and they feel like they have a model that they want to promote, they just use the Comet UI, they put it in the registry. And then, what happens after that? So I'm assuming you have lots of models in your registry. What does it look like from a platform team? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so we have staging Comet.
Okay.
And then we have production instance and staging. So during the model training runs, they could do these experiments, just log everything. And once they are ready, we can promote that into retrain the model on the production environment and send it to Comet production instance. That's where the models actually get served for production purposes.
Right. Yeah. It's a really big difference. So how do you, as a platform team, how do you think kind of on a more high level about creating this consistent but also very flexible experience for your data scientists?
Yeah, that's the work that we kicked off as our next version of our platform, because what we want to do is from project creation, inception level, to deployment. We want a consistent code-based structure, deployment structure. So even when the data scientists are doing code review stuff, it's not foreign to them, right? So they all follow the similar structure. So that's the challenge that you were talking about, how you provide a consistent platform. And also, we want to make sure that the experimentation work, right? That's the key part of understanding what you did and how can you rely on what you did and incrementally improve. So that's Comet makes us much easier for us to carry that work. By exposing through our platform packages, it allows us to allow data scientists to track that experimentation, make sure in the production what they put out, they have already seen what's going to happen in the production through their various experimentation.
You guys mentioned kind of your serving component. Can you walk me through really high level, what does that look like? Because I know that's something the team has spent so much effort on and is working really well. So I'm sure a lot of people will be excited to hear more.
Yeah, so Anuradha mentioned our robust CI/CD system. It's great. Our ML platform team didn't build it. Our DevOps team did. So we built our platform on top of it.
Okay.
And kind of what that amounts to is we need to build a container. And so we'll build a Docker container, usually using Fast API. If we're looking for like a REST interface, and during the container build, we might pull the model in from Comet's registry at that point. So when we ultimately get this artifact, it's a container, it has a web server and a model in it, and it's can be deployed and horizontally scaled on Kubernetes, and it's great. Or we might deploy that instead of something like Fast API, it could be something like a Kafka consumer. We have an internal library that we open sourced. I guess it's not an internal library then. So you have this library we wrote called PyVolley. It's
PyVolley, okay. Is that on GitHub?
It's on GitHub.
Yeah, awesome.
It's a lot like the experience developing in it is a lot like Fast API, except it consumes from a queue.
Okay.
So we'll deploy models in that framework as well. And it's like almost identical to Fast API, but instead of waiting for a network call, it is consuming from a Kafka topic.
Okay, and maybe switching gears a little bit. I know you mentioned, you touched a little bit about the Comet model registry and the experimentation side. So on a high level, from a strategy perspective, what kind of role Comet plays in your MLOps strategy?
I mean, it plays a key role because ML platform is not just like a one monolithic thing. It's the components of certain things. Model registry is a key part of that because when a model gets trained, you need to put it somewhere to retrieve it at inference time or any other situation. So entire ML platform and Comet model registry plays a very key role for us. I've tried to build ML platform in my other places with a team of folks. Now, we didn't have the luxury of having a Comet-like model registry. So we built within the resources, cloud services that was available, like taking a DynamoDB as a model registry, dumping the artifacts over there. That's a ton of work. That's just I only got like probably 1/10 of what Comet has, just so that I could keep track of the model artifacts. So in order to get to this level within ML platform team, you need another team. So that's why it's a key element in the ML platform. And going forward too, right? So as we increase the number of models, as we increase the experimentation of these models, it's key to lock those things and have a place where we can rely on measuring the performances, upgrading these models into production. So it gives us a very robust process for model deployment and model training.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I know, I'm sure like a lot of other platform teams, at some point you had the debate is like, hey, like what is like a high level strategy? Should we try to buy something that solves all our problems or potentially does? Should we try to build everything? Obviously you picked a more modular approach, but kind of what advice would you give like, a platform team just, debating this exact topic, looking at, vendors, open source, about what would you recommend to them to think about when making that decision?
It depends. So I know no one likes that answer because it depends. It's like a consultancy giving an answer, like it depends. But it really depends on how your team, maturity of your machine learning organization, resources that you have, and you don't have to do one or the other. You could do hybrid version, just like we are doing, right? We didn't build a Comet inside. We use Comet and we build the ML platform with Comet being a key piece within our ML platform. So just like that, my advice is every team's needs different. Understand the need and start small, and then you can try to understand what the data science teams need
Mm-hmm.
and build with them. Because if you try to just build it without them, no one will use it.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. I was, really enjoyed the conversation. I've learned a lot from you guys, not just from the last conversation, but just working with you and the rest of the platform team. So it's been a pleasure. And thanks again for coming here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.